Hey guys, it's K0MRD, your radio prepper, with the second in our series of Comms 101. Today we're going to be covering power output and antennas. Both of those things are really necessary for good signal getting out and receiving, okay? How far away do you want to communicate? Well, that depends on two main factors. One is the power output of your transceiver. Two is the type and placement of your antenna. Let's break this down. Power output is what gives your signal more punch. The more power out radiates more F, which you'll want to consider when using an HT. According to the American Cancer Society, RF is a type of non-ionizing radiation, which means it does not have enough energy to remove electrons from an atom. If RF is absorbed into the body in large enough amounts, it can cause heat, which in turn will cause burns to the skin, and nobody wants that. The amount of RF radiation would have to be intense to cause a burn. So, radiation off of an antenna like this, not so bad. You know, it's 5-watt radio, you know, you're fine. The higher power, the higher your radio power, the more RF it puts out. And if it's that close to your head, well, you could, in fact, get radiation burns. All right. If it's higher power you seek, then get a mobile unit, which can be used as a base, because those antennas are away from you and away from everybody else. Okay. And mobile units are higher powered in the area of 25 to 65 watts or more. And, like I said, they can be used as a base station. Power output is not the only consideration you have when choosing your radio. You have to think about the antenna that's connected to the radio as well. Alright? HTs, like I just showed you, come with, actually, what's called a rubber duck antenna. These little things really aren't good for much. I mean, they do get a signal out, but you really have to be outside. If you want to transmit further, you'd have to get an aftermarket antenna like this one. Alright? And again, it's only 5 watts, so really no danger to getting radiation burn. If you'd like to use your handheld radio in the car, or if you have a mobile in your car, you can get what's called a mag mount antenna. This is a 2 meter, 70 centimeter mag mount antenna. The magnet is down here on the bottom. And it'll hold in place pretty good up to, I've had the car up to 55 miles an hour on the highway, maybe 70, who knows. But that's the mag mount antenna. Talkies. You're going to want to have a permanent or semi-permanent antenna set as high as possible above the tree line in order to get the signal out. Most of these are going to be vertically polarized for 2 meter and 70 centimeter radios, or they could be omnidirectional like the mag mount listed above. The ideal antenna for a permanent antenna is called a copper J-pole, which looks pretty much like it sounds. It looks like a J, really. One part does 70 centimeter, the longer part does 2 meter, and it's really cool. And you can purchase them already made, or if you're so inclined and you have the tools necessary, you can build one out of copper tubing. That's one of the reasons, you know, a lot of people get into ham radio is experimentation, building their own antennas and that kind of thing. All right. But I want to warn you, if you're going to build your antenna, you need to have a good, solid understanding of antenna theory. Otherwise, like I said, you could get burned. And nobody wants to get hurt. All right. So how does this all connect to radio comm distance? In short, the higher the antenna you have, the more power your radio, the signal reaches much further. Okay? 2 meter and 70 centimeter radios are FM. That means they're line of sight. What that means is radios have to see each other in order to communicate. If you have one radio here and one radio here, they can talk to each other in what's called simplex, or radio to radio. Okay? A lot of people in the local comms, and that would be your 2 meter, your 70 centimeter, use repeaters. Okay? And what is a repeater, you may ask? Let me tell you. An amateur radio repeater is an electronic device that receives weak or low-level amateur radio signal and retransmits it at a higher level or higher power so that the signal can be heard over longer distances without degradation. That's from Wikipedia. In layman's terms, a repeater listens for weak signals. A repeater is high up in the air, okay, probably on top of a building if you're in a city or on top of a mountain, what have you. It's high up in the air, and it listens for a signal coming off your little handheld walkie-talkie. Okay? The repeater then retransmits that signal at a higher power so more people can hear your transmissions. The basic distance on these, radio to radio, is 1 to 5 miles. Depending on, terrain and, what's in your way, buildings, trees, that kind of thing. Repeaters will increase that range in the area of 30 to 50 miles. And I know if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that from my location inside a brick building on the first floor, I can get on the radio. In fact, I can get on the radio right now, turn it on, turns on, and we're going to try and see if I can hit the repeater from here. Stand by. K0MRD monitor. That hiss is the tail end of the repeater picking up. Stand by. K0MRD clear. Okay. Now what happened was my weak signal went out through the ether and hit a repeater that's roughly 10 miles away. Okay. My signal was then bounced off the repeater and it went out 20, 30, 40 miles out. So that is what a repeater does. And there's some things you have to understand. In an SHTF situation, repeaters might be down, due to damage from a storm or if there's a grid down or whatever, because they rely on power. So, keep that in mind. However, high-frequency radios, those are the bigger radios that I was discussing, they do not depend on repeaters for communication, just a radio, an antenna, and a power source. That's all you need. All right? I like to let you know that some frequencies in the HF spectrum are seasonal dependent as well as daylight dependent. 20 meter frequencies are stable year-round, but they work best during daylight hours. 40 meter, however, like 20, 40 is not seasonal dependent, however, that works best at night. So, a lot of people who use 2040 really can communicate any time of the year at any time of day. All right. All right, now this is the plug section. Radio communications is a hands-on skill. So if you're going to buy and listen to a UV5R or any other ham radio, I want to encourage you to get your ham radio license, because expertise comes with use, okay? I say that because you would learn more from actually doing, getting on the radio and transmitting and communicating with folks than you would. You'd learn more doing that than you would listening to me prattle about everything that's happened to me. All right? Or reading a book. You can only learn so much from having the knowledge, okay? Building on the knowledge you get from videos like this, or from books if you choose to get them, is great, but the only way you're going to do that is if you get your license, because it is currently illegal to transmit on any ham radio frequency without a license. Yes, in an SHTF situation, all bets are off. This is not an SHTF situation. So it's a good idea to get the hands-on knowledge, the experience, for you to actually communicate, okay? Now, you wouldn't go out and buy a piece of equipment and just leave it sit without learning everything you need to know, all of its capabilities and its limitations and everything. And I'm not only referring to camping gear or things like that. I'm talking about freedom seed throwers. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to kind of dick around with it while it's, your life is on the line, okay? You want to know what it's capable of. You want to know what its limitations are, all right? It's this way with comms. You learn by doing. Now, if you don't have a license, fear not. You can own a radio. You can own a UV5R. You can own an ICOM 718, whatever. You can listen to it. You just can't transmit without a license. Will the FCC find you? Who knows? There is that possibility. If somebody wants to say, hey, I know this guy, he's got a radio, and I'm pretty sure he's playing with it, somebody will come knock on your door. Will that ever happen? I don't know. I doubt it. But it is a possibility. So, that's going to wrap it up for today. And this is only 13 minutes long. So, I hope this helps. And our next video will be on the gear. I promise you that. And that will be up next Saturday. Probably about 4 p.m. All right? This is K0MRD, your radio prepper, signing off.